his greatest hits.
Guess that shows where your head is at.
Bill, why don't you look this way?
The microphone.
This garbage can over here? Garbage has a right to talk too, you know.
The microphone just went limp.
Still, you're going to be far off my
Yeah, I always am.
It
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we move this chair back and out, and then let me put me on the other side of this, and you come in the middle, Cerphe.
That would be fun.
It's a good idea. This is how radio works.
I have never been surrounded by such talent. This is incredible.
Well, it's the new age,
This
Cerphe.
is stereo,
Watch out.
Cerphe.
It's 74, you know?
One in each ear. Just keep watching.
I tell you, it's a pleasure to meet you, gentlemen. I have been...
Great pressure for us to be here. We sat an hour on the plane waiting for them to correct a deficiency, and the pilot came out and said, golly, you know, what was his name? Trippy
Petty.
or something? Petty.
Captain Petty. Captain Petty.
Yeah, he was an automatic pilot. We were all a little nervous when he lost his lucky charm, but we found it later. It was a glass eye.
Yeah, he came rolling down the aisle, you know, and he came out and he said, look, I'm not superstitious, he said, but I think this flight is jinxed. It was really funny, and everybody laughed.
We all laughed, you know.
And they said, well...
He said, these planes are so complicated. He said, you know, it's just amazing what can go wrong. He said, well, what went wrong, Captain? He said, we don't know yet. We're trying to find out. But he said, you know, I think I know what it is. It's a little plug. It's just a little, you know, we have these two, and he described how the air leons work.
And laughed. And then they tried it, and it was a cannon plug problem. And a cannon plug turned out to be the man who met the daughter of the dean of the National Cathedral, who was on the flight with us and was going to be coming and see us tomorrow night.
She had a sprained ankle.
She's with the Nicholas... Jessica, yeah, she's with the Nicholas Dance Club.
Dancer, yeah.
Nikolai, yeah, and sprained her ankle, so she's here visiting her folks. But, and you know, in Russia, if she'd sprained her ankle in a dance company...
They would have shot her.
They would have shot her. Probably with a long lens, too. Because people don't like to get really close in on those kind of things.
That's easy for you to say.
Sure it is. I've been learning to speak English for years now.
Я тоже. Для меня, так сказать, очень легко, знаете. Я надеюсь, что скоро увидимся.
Надеюсь, что скоро увидим, а меня пора идти.
Да, конечно.
Yeah.
This is Reality Radio 102.3 on your FM. How do you talk backwards? How do you do that?
I can't do it. But that reminds me of something, though.
That reminds me.
Which backwards is, it's certainly great to be on your show, Cerphe.
Oh, don't mention
talking backwards.
We're proud and pleased that we can speak down here on Washington Radio without any fear of censorship, because that's important. Talking on the radio.
It's sort of nice to after listening to you, and I've even seen you in the theater. Not in the theater, on film. In the theater.
The Martian Space Party?
Incredible. It was just incredible. That
means you didn't believe it.
No, I didn't believe it, but it was incredible. I mean,
it was
incredible.
That's right.
Now you can't make fun.
No.
Now for the man who is the host of the town, you're going to perform in.
That's right. We've been invited to some wonderful socialite parties
I'm sure
down here, too. You know, the concert's not until 8 o'clock tomorrow, and our busy little social schedule is just full.
You ought to meet our busy little social secretary. We have both a male and a female social secretary now.
Well, we don't have
because
to
of the bisexual centennial.
Buzzy Crumhunger is invited
she's
us
going
to
be
coming
coming
out.
Oh, it's nice.
And
Rummy
Bunghunger.
It's funny how names give people away. Representative Graft. Excuse me.
Bergman's going to make a surprise appearance at the Senate and a cake.
Oh, no, that's incredible.
That's true.
That's a
It's inedible, really.
I'm going to have my cake and tell him to eat it.
That's
really
right.
great.
We're also eating at the fine Senate shredded room, the shredded lettuce room, where
Have you had the shredded salad?
You know, you write down
I've
something
read about
and they
it.
run it through the shredder, and then you can eat it in the salad. You can kind of eat your own words.
Well, it's biodegradable.
I'm going to drop Phil off the 14th Street
grading.
Bridge. By the way, we're going to replay that famous event in history.
If you haven't been here before,
We're
have
the
you?
Washington Deep 6.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
If you fall in the Potomac, they're never going to hear from you again.
The Potomac, I understand. They've changed the name.
That too. Give it about a month, boy, and you'll be able to smell wherever you live. Wherever you might live. Where do you live?
Oh, well, I live in Hollywood, in that oleomargarine factory that we wrote about so long ago.
I have heard about that.
I actually don't live in a house anymore. We've been traveling on the road now, Procter and Bergman, for a year, so I've gotten so used to... Well, I've gotten so used to being in motels and hotels that I built a motel, little thing that I call the motel, down below on the first floor of my house.
Actually, it says hotel. The M is not working.
And it's got a vibra bed, which I run off of Canadian quarters, because they're worth so much more. It can really shake you up.
He had one that was Moel. It was for Christmas. Moel. But that was another story, another time, another place.
Of course. And here in Washington, it's always Christmas.
Don't forget to call me, darling. I'll send you to heaven. Who's that?
I don't know.
Oh, Now,
Wolfman
you know,
the Jerk, I think it is.
No,
It's his
there
brother,
used to be a DJ here in Washington called George Lord Fauntleroy Bandy. Do you
Gee, that
remember
was
him?
before
Anyone here remember him?
That was before my time.
I remember him! Yeah, this fellow over here says
He is the inspiration for the character called the Wiz, who sits in a window. He was the first guy
is that
who
right?
used to sit in a window in lower Washington, D.C., and say things like, hey, there goes a Plymouth, hi, Plymouth. And he'd do that, and he'd talk to the cars, and the people going by, George Lord Fauntleroy Bandy.
But they don't listen to me. Honk, honk. Hey, honky! Yeah. Sure, well, you know, times have changed here in Washington, A.C.
Certainly has. Time's changing all the time. Well, it's 4:24 and 31 up to. Let me take that again. And at the tone, the time will be 4:34 and 38. Oh, it's so hard
Hard
to
to
keep
be
up with
real.
time.
It is hard to be real. It's hard to not know. Now, how is anybody going to know that this isn't on tape? How is anybody going to know that this
Well,
isn't on
because
We know this isn't on tape, because if it was on tape, you could just cut whole.
Connections out
Come
of it.
back at any time.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
No,
only
it's-
that, but we are... Not only that,
But then they can just slow. Tape down, and then you never know what speed you want to go. Oh, stereo, you got him on.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, well, when he's on, you know...
So we're live.
I know what you mean. Do you believe in petting on the first date?
No, I don't go out with animals.
I see.
And I think stroking fruits like that is not a good idea. Petting
Streaking.
dates.
It's streaking. Now, this is the kids today in
streaking,
college. I wanted to get to that because we'd had an episode up here the other evening of...
So I understand. I read a fine article about it in the Daily Nudes.
Yeah.
A newspaper from New
New York Daily News,
Yeah, it was all
right?
about
Streaked with interesting
Yeah,
information.
they said it went
Unbelievable.
by like a blue streak. It must have been cold, huh?
It was brisk. It was brisk. But, I mean, what do you think? Now, the kids today in college, I mean, used to be, you know...
And I'm bald, which is now a guy with streaked hair.
Yeah, that's true. Very good.
Not bad.
President Nixon made a streaker joke last night as he
Hey,
was
it's
walking
getting
out,
so
remember?
simple, you know. It's easy streak.
That's right.
I live on easy streak.
Yeah, President
Sure.
Nixon said that his gray hair was just streaked, and they all laughed, took off
Really?
their clothes. Yeah.
Everyone did. Well,
Well, we used to write revolutionary screenplays.
They used to roll away from us, though, because we lived on a hill.
That's right. I remember I was writing a screenplay with Peter Fonda and Brandon DeWilde many years ago, before I met Peter. I met Peter by sitting on a picture of his face during the Sunset Strip riots many years ago in California.
I remember that.
Sure, I do.
Who did
too.
we meet that knew Franz DeWilde? And was a good friend.
Fritz DeWilde, you know.
Fritz DeWilde. We talked with him just recently, right? And said
Yeah.
that he knew him when he was a stage manager and
Yeah.
knew Brandon as a young boy.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're all dead now. Who cares? Anyway, except for Fonda, he's still around on celluloid. And this particular thing, we wrote a section where a bunch of kids went into, well, thousands of kids actually, went into a convention and took off all their clothes. You know?
And I've had a vision that there will someday be a total, like, nude-in Washington in front of, like, the Washington Monument, or the Martha Washington Monument, which is a 432-foot hole in the ground.
I know what you mean.
Isn't there that
seen it.
Martha Washington Bridge, the unfinished bridge to nowhere? That
Anyway, the
extends from
nude-in will
some
happen, and they
Rhode
can't cover it
Island?
on television. The
That's
people
right.
will be there, and they won't have any place to put their cameras.
No,
up,
they'll
put
have
their hands over the lenses.
placards. You know, they'll have
have to
placards
cover
that
it,
they can,
yeah.
you know, they'll do that. They do wonderful things with television.
Yeah,
these days.
TV refuses to cover nudity. That was a very interesting headline in the trades.
We were talking on the Alex Bennett show in New York one evening.
You know Alex?
I don't.
Stuff?
It's a very funny show.
Late night
And
stuff.
we were talking about censorship, sexual matters and things like that, and we were also talking about nudity. And Peter, I believe, mentioned a show.
The Quad Bozos.
Oh, he is the Quad Bozos.
We
How
broadcast in
wonderful.
Quad.
Oh, you do?
We are in Quad.
Are
You're
we in Quad right now?
Well, so to speak. There's only 3 of us here, but
Fantastic.
But wait, how could that? That isn't a quad microphone. It's
Don't-
a single send microphone, isn't it?
don't kid yourself.
Is it? No, it is. We're in.
No, we're in stereo right now, but it's hard to do
Is
the.
that a stereo mic?
Yes, it is.
Oh, is that why you're looking at it?
No,
You're
I'm,
right.
I'm,
First we're in stereo.
I'm cross-eyed. I'm cross-eyed.
Phil, are we in Aereo?
Sure we are.
Aereo?
In your area.
Area.
Let me just finish what I was going to say. 'cause
Finish
it-
your
it-
story.
If you want to hear a
it's
pen, we can
ironic.
say in your area. I'll say in, you say your, and you say area, and they'll go
Okay,
Firesign
ready?
Theater. Ready? In.
Your area. Try it again.
I have to say what?
It's really great to be performing tomorrow night here in beautiful in your
area.
That's kind of good.
That's kinda
the way
good.
the
Maybe we can
aliens
work
speak.
something out, you know.
Yeah, we can.
Anyway, we were talking about this nude-in that they had in Los Angeles radio recently, where a girl came in, a woman came in a coat, and sat down with the interviewer, and the interviewer said, "Would you like to take off your coat?" And she did, and she was naked underneath. And there was 3 minutes of radio silence, during which time the commentator got himself together, or got the matter in hand, I believe is the way they put it. And then 3 more naked people came in, and they had a radio interview. And this girl, well, I walked in to put a tape in the control room, and this very girl that he was talking about was sitting in the control room, clothed, mind you. But she said to me, she looked up, she said, "Hi, I'm the girl who did that." And I said, "You're kidding me." She said, "No, I just flew out from Los Angeles. my boyfriend does the late night news on this show, and I said,
You
well,
should have
what's
seen
your
what they
name?
were
She
doing
said,
when he was
Starling.
doing the news. He
Yeah.
did that thing about Kissinger, and that was too much for her. She had to do what she did.
She did, and she came in and sat in on the rest of the show. Now, isn't that a wonderful coincidence?
You meet all kinds of people in show business.
Yeah,
like that,
and when you're live on radio, you get to see all these things.
There you
When
go.
you people at home, you don't know that he's sitting here naked now, do you?
He's not fully naked. He's not fully naked. He's got earphones on.
There you go.
Yeah, well, okay.
You know,
I can't do
FCC
radio
can get in
completely
trouble by
naked.
telling lies like this.
See,
He
we-
earphones on. The
Surf
rest
the
of them is
street.
just...
If you've ever been in the studio, for those of you looking into your speakers now, we have on either side of us, there are two big glass windows, and I tell you, we've had some episodes late on a Saturday night with these glass windows.
That's the joke of the glass windows, because you can't hear what's out. Look at that. Who's that?
What? Why, that's you.
Oh. How did
You
we
know,
do
we
that?
had
Is that
a-
the quadraphonic effect?
When we went to
is-
stereo, we had a lot of hermaphrodites coming in and flashing.
Are you
when we were
sponsored
on
by-
mono, it was a very hetero experience.
Well,
but things have changed.
mono
In
was
quad, we
really
had an
laid
alien
back.
with 4 heads.
Really?
Yeah, mono radio is laid back. You know, you can't move.
Yeah, you
College
know,
radio,
I don't have the liver for it, though. I'm too high a liver for mono radio.
I know
It's
what
not
you
my
mean.
kidney. You know what I mean? Stereo I like, 'cause you can just stare at it.
Yeah.
That's what happens when
What's
you take
that?
O, too. You stare.
Yeah.
Stereo, radio opium.
Well, of course, yeah, but then, of course, with your,
Orpheum,
with
I'm
your
sorry,
motel,
wrong circuit.
with your motel sound like that, what, you know. We have to-
OL.
Al.
Can we do a commercial?
We took the T out
You
of it.
better, otherwise
Can we,
we can't
why don't we identify ourselves? It's
You got,
5:30.
some great commercials on the station, by the way. The one that goes, we heard it driving up here, which is a car that burns gas like a small car, but allows the normal family of 5 to sit with their hands in their ears. You know, it's just wonderful.
That wasn't our station.
Yeah.
No, it must have been somebody.
No, we have commercials that go like this. That